Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode. Dare I say, the first ever episode of a Cast to the Past for 2019. And we thought nothing better than why not kick things off with 2019 by talking about not our New Year's resolutions. We're going to be talking about the goals, the expectations that we have for the podcast, which, yeah, I guess if you think about it, it's not that far from New Year resolutions, but
it's like half.
It's
resolution.
Yeah, it's half. And I mean, we are 2/3 of a Cast to the Past because on the previous episode, we talked about the Super Mario Brothers movie. And I think that Ryan McNulty from Boston, Mass, he was so traumatized by that. He told us, Juan, Keith, I need a week. I need some time off, understandably so. If you haven't...
We're not positive that he'll be back, to be perfectly honest.
So
it was
check that
moment.
episode out. That could be the last time that you get Ryan McNulty on a Cast of the Past, but we are joined by Keith Poshuk from London, Ontario.
That's me. Can't get rid of me. I'm like the plague.
And then there's me, Juan Velez from Puerto Rico. And yeah, so we have a pretty loose agenda here. This is also the perfect opportunity for everybody watching and listening to just let us know in these smaller episodes, what would you like us to talk about? Whether it's a full episode that you want us to dedicate about a certain movie, video game topic, or just something like we did a favorite Super Nintendo games episode over 8 episodes ago. Kind of time goes by really quickly. So it's just
really does. Yeah, I mean, at this point, as we're going into 2019, we have about 15 episodes under our belt, and if you've been around for the entire trip, thank you very much.
Yes.
But, we're still a very young podcast. Really, the world is our oyster. There's so much things to cover. We want to talk about what you can expect in 2019. Maybe we'll set some broad goals of these are the things I'd like to do with the show, because about 15 episodes in, we're starting to figure out our strengths, we're starting to figure out our weaknesses, what to improve on, and we're always looking for feedback, especially from you guys out there listening or watching. And this is going to be kind of like almost like a state of the union of this is where we're at, this is where we want to go. Oh yeah, I should have brought a tie. I didn't.
I should have brought pants.
I should have buttoned up my shirt fully, but I didn't. Here's my undershirt.
Let's focus on the good things. But
yes, not my shirt.
Yeah, let's preface by saying, so we publish a brand new episode every single Sunday. So one episode is an extended hour-plus conversation about a video game, movie, or something like that. And then this right here counts as one of the smaller ones that are published the weeks in between. This gives us some flexibility. Like we talked about our best of 2018. We got your episode, we got my episode. Some say we'll eventually get a Ryan episode in 2019 about the year
once he
previous.
Recovers. Yeah. Once he recovers from that traumatic experience, he'll be here giving his best things of 2018.
It'll happen. And Ryan actually pitched in. Well, he's in bed recovering from the Super Mario Brothers flu. One thing he does want to talk about this year is the rumored Pokemon JRPG. Last year, we got Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. It's
incredible games.
Yeah, a lot of people love them. I like them. The three of us have bought them and played them. And if anybody wants us to talk about that, maybe that can be an episode right there. Because even though that's a newer thing, came out last year, it's still celebrating Pokemon. I think that the reason that we want to get it is because we used to play Pokemon back in the day, right? So it's the perfect mix.
I used to. I still do.
Yeah.
I've played Pokemon Let's Go today.
I'm talking about like the earlier games, like Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow, all that stuff.
I can load up Pokemon Go on my phone if you'd like to right now. I'm still
the evidence
deep
is
into Pokemon.
There. Yeah.
Exactly. And I am a huge fan of these tie-in episodes. We're kind of the upcoming Resident Evil 2 episode is a great example of this. And this new Pokemon game, I'm extremely excited for it. The idea of like a full mainline Pokemon game on a not handheld system, because this is really the first of its kind, and it's a very exciting thing for me. I can't wait, and there's just so many great opportunities to tie the show into something like that. Like, with the success of Let's Go, there might be a Gen 2 Let's Go coming out in a few years. That would be a great opportunity to check out like Pokemon Gold and Silver. So there's definitely a lot that we can do with the 2019 Pokemon game, and I guess we'll have to wait and see.
You know, one game that I would love for us to experience for an episode. I don't know if you could justify an extended episode, but Pokemon Snap for the N64.
Oh, that is absolutely a full episode. I was just thinking that myself. Like, I haven't really played a lot of the spin-off games, like the Mystery Dungeon games or even the Pokemon Stadium games. I kind of fell off of after the N64 ones. So there's tons of room to do stuff with that. Like, I know there's a GameCube game like
Pokemon XD.
Yeah, Gale of Darkness. Like, those are highly regarded games that I've just never touched. So there's definitely a lot of room to check things out when it comes to that.
Yeah, so everybody, please suggest a way, because I'm thinking of the Mystery Dungeon games. There's Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Coliseum, XD.
Pokemon Puzzle League.
Yeah, Puzzle League. But there's got to be some other stuff that we don't really know about. I mean, we even got Pokemon Quest last year, which was a free-to-play game available on the Switch and on phones. So,
yes,
needless to say, we like Pokemon.
Free-to-play. Totally didn't spend $30 on that game. It's absolutely free-to-play.
I was addicted to it for the 3 weeks that I played, and then I never touched it again.
Yeah, I beat Mewtwo. Then I'm like, $30 well spent.
That wouldn't be bad. So, another thing that I thought about regarding you, actually, is we made an episode about popular video games we've never played. People always talk about Half-Life and even Super Mario 64, and most players assume, hey, if you're a real gamer, you must have played that. But there's a lot that we haven't. So I would love for us to tackle some of those games. You mentioned Banjo-Kazooie, for example. One of Ryan's favorite games. You never played it, right?
It's true. The only Banjo-Kazooie game I've played is Nuts and Bolts, and I love that game, but I guess you could consider that more a spin-off. I've never touched any of the Banjo-Kazooie platformers.
So that would be something. Is there anything else? Thinking about classic games that we've never touched, or in your case?
For myself, I mean, N64 platformers are just something that I've never touched. Going back to that favorite video games I've never played, that's just a giant hole in my video game repertoire. And I'm so happy Ryan's not here when I say this, but I know one of his favorite series is Silent Hill. I've never played a Silent Hill game, any of them. I fell onto the Resident Evil side of things, so I'm really looking forward to maybe checking one out one day. Like, I know there's that, I don't know if you can consider it retro yet, but there's that Wii game, Shattered Memories, I think it's called, that's like one of the, regarded as one of the best psychological thriller games out there, just being so good. Stuff like that, just, this show, for us as hosts, is a great excuse to fill out the holes that we've missed in our entertainment consumption. Where if there's something that we've never played or something we never checked out, well, if we're doing an episode about it, we don't really have much of a damn choice.
Yeah.
So we kind of have to. So those are the things I'm really most excited about checking out, just the stuff I've never played. But it's really easy to just go like, I just want to play all my favorite video games, watch all my favorite movies again. And to that point, one thing that I don't know exactly what it'll be yet, but there's this little movie coming out at the end of this year called Star Wars. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
It's like a flight simulator thing?
Something like that. There's a Ben Lenobi that picks up some space trucker and his hairy bear friend, and they go do fun things together. But yeah, Star Wars coming out the end of this year. We're probably going to do something Star Wars. Honestly, whether you or Ryan like it or not, we're probably going to do something Star Wars.
If you talk about the topic of Star Wars video games, you can go back Super Nintendo, N64. There's the Rogue Squadron game, which I loved.
There's one of the best video games ever named
the arcade
Knights
one?
of the Old Republic.
Ooh, yeah. I love that. I love that one. My favorite Star Wars game had to be the arcade one, because just the stick and how the arcade machine actually looked. Just so many great things about that. So that could definitely work. And you mentioned the Silent Hill thing. On the flip side, Ryan had never played Resident Evil 2, yet that's going to be something we talk about. And we do have a Discord channel, castofthepast.com/Discord. And the first thing that Ryan said as we get ready for that RE2 episode is, you guys don't get to complain about tank controls because I'm playing RE2 right now. Ew. Yeah, we're playing through that right now, and
They're not
they're
the
tanky,
best.
and they don't control well.
They're definitely clunky, but I don't know. I guess because it's part of my childhood, I don't mind it. I know where to go, so it's just kind of like pushing it. It feels like you're just pushing it through water. Well, I'm sorry. Not sorry.
Yeah, something else. And Ryan and I actually had this conversation just on a random night. We didn't have you in there, Keith. I'm sorry, but I'll fill you in right now.
I understand.
So we were born in 1989. So we've talked about this, Keith. Okay, we're 90s kids. That one year doesn't count, but
no, it doesn't.
There's so many movies from the 80s that either we've watched or haven't watched in many years. So I'd like for us to tackle some 80s stuff, not just movies, but games and things like that. So I know that with one of our upcoming episodes, we're actually going to be polling people among a couple of 80s movie episodes. So if you haven't, please follow us on social media, A Cast of the Past. We're going to be polling you on Twitter, and stay tuned to our Super Mario Brothers episode or our social media. You can check all that stuff, and there's going to be more information about the actual movies that you can vote on. So check that out right now on social media.
I would say, as a listener, expect a fair amount of polls this year, because I love them. I think they're a ton of fun, because...
The dancing ones or the Twitter ones?
Both, really. It all depends what kind of mood I'm in.
Yeah.
But we can sit here and think, like, I want to play this, and then argue, like, no, I want to do this. I want to watch this. We should do this. But it's just kind of fun to just let that go, and our fate is out of our own hands. And like, okay... With our recent Super Mario Brothers episode, our lovely, adoring fans that I don't definitely curse for putting me through that, they did that to us. And it's just kind of so much fun to bring everybody into this conversation and come along with the journey, having that choice.
Something else, when we first started, the episode that we did about favorite Super Nintendo games, to be perfectly real, guys, that was originally going to be a filler thing. When we published that, we didn't even know we were going to be doing these 0.5 episodes, like the non-hour discussions. That was actually there.
That's just kind of like, hey, that was fun. Let's keep doing these. Because it was originally supposed to be a bi-weekly show, but here we are.
Yeah, and we realized that not every single game, like for example, with that one, we talked about Batman Returns. I don't think we could do an episode about the movie and in that episode talk about the game, but I very much doubt we would ever dedicate an entire episode to the game. So episodes like that are a perfect platform for that. So something that I would love for us to do is tackle another console. So maybe like the PlayStation 2, something that I know that the three of us experienced in large amounts. Because you mentioned, N64, maybe you didn't experience as much stuff as Ryan did. Sega Genesis, I played none of it up until a couple of years ago, but PS1, 2, maybe 3, Xbox 360. I don't know about you, but I definitely want to do a top 3 for one of these games next year, or this year.
Oh, absolutely. Just because there is a lot of stuff that just isn't big enough to get its own episode. Like, the first thing that pops up into my head, like, arcade ticket games. Like, we couldn't do a whole episode on skee-ball, but you could probably just, like, if you fit everything together, we can make a very fun episode about that, and just finding those great things that can lump together to kind of make a fun package. Even though, you know what, maybe we'll try doing an hour-long episode where we go through the entire history of skee-ball, but I think that'd be pretty boring. That's one specific that I'm looking forward to, but absolutely going through some of our favorite consoles. And, even some of the ones that we never had growing up. Like, I never had a Sega Genesis. And going through, like, my favorite Genesis games are things that I played at other people's houses. And it's more about the memories for myself. So just getting to go back through that nostalgia and seeing how people relate to that, that's the hook for me that I am fascinated to explore.
So something that I have, for example, is the Sega Genesis collection for PS4, and that could even be an episode. Not necessarily this one, but old games are so accessible now. You have the SNK Collection on the Nintendo Switch, so you have a hybrid of, technically it's a new thing, right? Because this collection did come out before, but it's celebrating the past and just figuring out, playing some of these games, do we feel this package is worth re-experiencing, going back to? Does it make you think about the fact that how would my life have changed as a gamer if you had played your Sega Genesis or your Atari or more Neo Geo games and things like that? So that would be pretty awesome. And sort of going back to what you mentioned there is that, yeah, our initial thing about the show, we even had a fancy Excel sheet about this, is we wanted to pick out sort of the things that the three of us had experienced, talking about games or whatever. But I think that an even bigger challenge is tackling movies and games that the three of us have never watched, right? So we have no nostalgic aspect to it. We have no context other than we're watching this in 2019, 2020, and we're taking it for what it is now. And we can have an objective view about it of maybe it doesn't hold up now, but think back then. Do you think you would have enjoyed it then? We talked about Terminator. The second one of the best movies of all time, arguably. The first one, it's good, but it doesn't hold up nearly as well. Terminator 1 is a
great movie. It's just not a great action movie.
Yeah.
It's a horror movie.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? I think that a lot of people lump the two together as an action movie, but the first one is more horror themed, and then we got more of them. And that should not have happened. So is there anything else that you're like, if it weren't for this podcast, I would never check out blank? That can be a movie, a specific video game. Is there anything you think you want to just throw out here? Especially Keith, Ryan's not here. So if you say it here, it's going to be on record.
It's true. And, it's honestly hard to think of examples because, there are the big movies that I've never seen that I should, kind of like your Pulp Fictions. I've never seen Pulp Fiction.
That's
a lot of people yell at me for that. Or Fear and Loathing is in Las Vegas. That's another movie that I've never seen that I probably should. Like, there are definitely those staples, but like I mentioned, I'm honestly more like fan polls saying, like, you going out there recommending stuff, you being the listeners, telling us what we think or that you think that we should check out. That's the stuff that I'm interested in mostly.
And the cool thing is that as the episodes keep growing, as the podcast keeps growing, as everybody keeps sharing, I hope we get to a point where we can do this video next year, like in early 2020, and we have an audience of kids, but also grown-up adults of just all sorts of ages. And I want to check out those comments or those emails or that social media interaction and just seeing, like, how does everybody from all these different age ranges react to this specific movie, this specific game? Because even as a kid, for example, and we talked about this on our previous episode, I was always fascinated by the mafia movies, by gangster movies, The Goodfellas, Godfather, Public Enemies, all those awesome movies, Gangs of New York. But, Ryan never cared about them. But ever since I was a kid, I loved that. At the same time, there's other genres. Like, I was hooked onto horror movies as a kid. Now, I can watch them, but I no longer get that excitement to watch those movies. So I think that finding that diversity with listeners, with supporters and everything, that's something I'm really looking forward to this year.
Absolutely.
So, folks, let us know. Like, this is it. We are figuring out an agenda for the entire year. We have all these fancy documents on our cloud that hopefully never go away, because otherwise we got.
Or else we are screwed.
Yeah. Hopefully that doesn't happen. So please think about what you used to enjoy a couple of years ago. Think about something that you experienced going all the way back to 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and you would like us to have that discussion. Please go to the comment section of the YouTube channel. Please send us an email, acastofthepast@gmail.com. And sincerely, as Keith mentioned at the beginning, thank you. Thank you for believing in us. We're still starting out. We put out over 10 episodes, but this is still in diapers. This is just getting started.
Like, if you are listening to this as it comes out, I cannot say thank you enough for being one of the people that just started this journey with us. And if you're coming back to this, maybe we're 100 episodes deep at this point, and you're checking out some of the early stuff. What have you thought about what we've done so far? Hello, this is Past Keith saying, hello, good sir or madam.
How did I look with a mustache on the YouTube version? just questions people actually ask themselves. You know?
How do I look without one? Maybe I have like all gray hair now.
How would you
Starting
look
to
with a
go
full-on
gray.
mustache?
I don't know. I can't grow one. A good one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Honestly, when I grow a mustache, it looks like I'm not allowed near schools. So
Oh my God.
I keep it tight, keep it short.
Okay, I was not expecting that. So, folks, that has been it for another exciting episode of A Cast of the Past and celebrating 2019. Let's just quickly think about the past. Right now, you can check out episodes about the Super Mario Brothers movie. You can enjoy that, quote unquote. Home Alone, The Matrix, Grand Theft Auto 3, favorite Super Nintendo games, WrestleMania 14, some of our favorite things about 2018. And Keith, what are some of the upcoming episodes for this year?
Indeed, coming up very soon, we have an episode I am so excited about. I have the new remake pre-ordered. I can't wait. Resident Evil 2. We're going to take a deep dive into the survival horror genre. That's what I was trying to say. And experience the magic that PS1 game just gave me and my childhood. God, I love that game so much. I'm so excited for the remake. I can't say it enough.
Same.
Then after that, we're going to find the friend in all of us and check out Toy Story. Probably one of my favorite movies ever, personally. Even though it was years and years ago, I still remember going to see this in the theater, and I am so curious how that animation holds up, because I watched The Incredibles recently, the first one, and I was kind of thinking like, ugh, I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, the first Incredibles, the animation, it's aged, and Toy Story is older, so that's something that I'm just fascinated to go back and look at. Can't wait.
January 27th.
Yes, thank you.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And there's one more thing on that list, Keith.
Ah, yes. Speaking of Twitter polls, didn't notice that one. All right, got a third point. See, you took this job away from me. You gave it to Ryan, and now I'm rusty. So I blame you for this one. We mentioned polls earlier. We are going to have our next poll February 10th. It's going to be 80s themed, like you mentioned. And what are the picks going to be? That's a great question. Stay tuned on Twitter for that.
Yeah, you can check it out right now, actually. Just go to social media. Please help us pick that. And you can also go back to the Super Mario Brothers episode, and we talk about the options there. So if you want to measure our excitement, check that one out, and then go to Twitter, pick, and hopefully we enjoy that which you will choose.
Even if we, quote unquote, enjoy it. I'm all up for
nothing
that
can
too.
be worse than the Super Mario Brothers movie, Keith. So.
Don't say that.
Well,
There's a lot of movies and video games out there.
I feel like I'm eventually going to regret that. I'm actually regretting that right now, but we're not going to cut this off. So thank you, everybody, for the long-standing support. Get ready for an exciting episode of an exciting year of A Cast of the Past. I already said the name, crap, so now I need to say it twice. So that's been it for another exciting episode of A Cast
to the Past.
See, Juan, this is what happens when you do that, and then this happens. And then Ryan, when are you getting back, Ryan?
It always just goes out of control when Ryan's not there.
Where are you?
He's our anchor.
He's the one with the clean underwear.
Floating a sea. Hey, you don't know that.
Keith, just float away. Float, Keith. Float.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, world. Goodbye.